One of the things that will always help influence your writing, and I mean, I know from my own self that this certainly plays out, is find out about the local history. And I'm not talking about just going back to, who first settled your community or anything like that. Don't necessarily worry about dates and places and names, but find out some of the stories, because history, what's the second syllable? Story. I mean, I am fascinated by all aspects of history. I mean, I'm holding a dinosaur fossil right here. And, this came from what is now the Connecticut River in Massachusetts. And stop and think about it, you realize a whole bunch of things were here before any of us even showed up, before the Native Americans, before the First Peoples, before anybody. There was a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And how did that impact what we're doing now? Because every character that you write about, even if it's pure fiction, every character has a story that has influenced his or her decisions, attitudes, outlooks, and actions. So stop and think about what their history is. Is it something that made them idealistic? Is it something that made them very bitter? Is it something that made them depressed, courageous, hopeful, resilient? And don't think it has to be particular or peculiar just to them. Two people can be in the same situation and emerge from it completely different. One can be kind of broken and bitter, and the other one can have a sense of resolution and strength and independence, confidence. Figure out what their stories are. And when these two people with their own individual stories get together, what history are they going to be making? Because they're going to be influencing the story of somebody else. So history might not have been necessarily your strongest subject in school, but history is something that you can't get away from. And I run into people that, when they find out that I love reading history, their first thing is, I don't see any point in looking at the past. We need to look forward. Well, if you don't know where you've been, you're not going to know where you're going. And again, I'm not talking about a dry recollection of, in 1693, so-and-so built a shingle mill where thus and such a town now stands. I'm talking about, when I was little, this happened to me. Or one day at work, this happened to me. Or one day when I was on vacation, I saw this happen. You have been on this earth for a number of cycles around the world. Unless you've been living in a cave, things have had an impact on you. They have had an influence on you. They will make you like certain things. They will make you resist certain things. They will make you feel inspired by certain things. They will make you feel disgusted by certain things. Your characters aren't any different. Give them a story. Make them heroic. Make them tragic. Make them pathetic. All of these things go into the dimension of a really good narrative. All of these things go into the dimension of fleshing out and giving you a really great manuscript. Because all of those are key elements into a really good story. So, maybe you don't necessarily have to memorize the Jurassic period, the Paleozoic period, or any of the other periods that are out there. Maybe you don't know when the Battle of Hastings was, or the Battle of Gettysburg, Battle of Harlem Heights. Maybe you don't know the route that Lewis and Clark took, or where Washington crossed the Delaware, but know where your character came from. Know what he or she went through. Know what he and she, or he or she, decided when they went through it. Are they going to be somebody who never learns from their mistakes and keeps going back and repeating it? Or are they going to be like Scarlett O'Hara in that classic scene where she shakes her fist and says, "I will never be hungry again"? Are they going to have a resolution and a resolve, or are they just going to decide to give up? All of that's going to be based on their history. How were they treated? How were they handled? How were they taught? What examples did they have? What conclusions? What underlying circumstances helped them come to those conclusions? See, there's a lot to figure out when you're figuring out somebody's history, because it will help your story.